Stories create our reality. They influence our perspectives. Stories have served as vehicles for the passing of ideologies between generations for thousands of years. They offered some, although misguided, explanation of the phenomenon of the natural world. Stories shared throughout a society established culture and meaning, truth and shared reality within the tribe. This common cultural consensus creates an in-group understanding of things, like inside jokes. If you were in the group, then you would get the jokes. You would know the stories. Whether realized or not, stories affect people. They move them to feel and think in certain ways. Legends and myths become the guides of entire civilizations. Consider the myth of the Minotaur. Once upon a time, there was a Phoenician princess named Europa. Zeus lusted after her and appeared to her in the form of a white bull. Enchanted by the bull, Europa mounted it, and Zeus bolted off, abducting her to the island of Crete, where she would give birth to many sons. In competition to become the king of Crete, one of Europa's sons, Minos, prayed to Poseidon to send him a white bull as a sign that he supported him becoming king of Crete. Poseidon did send Minos the bull and bid him to offer it as a sacrifice to him. Enchanted by the white bull, Minos decided to offer Poseidon a lesser bull as sacrifice. Minos' attempt to fool Poseidon angered him, and as punishment, he caused Minos' wife to fall in love with the white bull. Minos' wife, Pasiphae, enchanted by the bull, went to the greatest craftsman in the land, Daedalus, and had him make a hollow wooden cow which would enable her to mate with the white bull. Once she did, Pasiphae became pregnant and gave birth to a hybrid bull man, which they named the Bull of Minos, or Minotaur. As the Minotaur grew older, he became fierce and uncontrollable. Minos went to the Oracle Delphi, who counseled him to place the Minotaur in an inescapable prison. The king returned and tasked Daedalus in creating a labyrinth beneath his great palace of Knossos. Years later, King Minos' son Androgeus went to Athens to compete in the Panathenaic Games, a precursor to the Olympics. After winning every competition, Androgeus was murdered by a mob of disgruntled Athenians. When King Minos heard of his son's death, he ordered a yearly tribute of 7 male and 7 female virgins to be sent from Athens to Crete to be fed to the Minotaur. On the 3rd year of tribute, Theseus, Prince of Athens, left with the others to kill the Minotaur. The king of Athens, King Aegeus, told Theseus to have his vessel return with white sails if he lived and black sails if he perished in the labyrinth. When Theseus arrived at Crete, Ariadne, daughter of King Minos, fell in love with him. She went to Daedalus and implored him to tell her how to escape the labyrinth so that Theseus may return to her. Daedalus gave Ariadne a clue of thread and told her that Theseus may use it as a guide back to where he entered. Ariadne appeared to Theseus and told him that if he would marry her, then she would give him the clue of thread. He agreed and entered the labyrinth. Theseus found and killed the Minotaur. He followed the thread that laid behind him and left the labyrinth with his fellow Athenians. Ariadne went with Theseus only to be abandoned on the island of Naxos on the way back to Athens. Theseus had forgotten to change the sails from black to white, and upon seeing the ship, King Aegeus leapt from a cliff to his death in the sea below. Theseus then became the king of Athens. This myth has impacted the people of the world. Athens would supplant Crete as the main naval power in the region, and Theseus was regarded as their founding hero. Traces of this story remain in language today. Europe, and one of Jupiter's moons, is named after Europa. The Aegean Sea was named after the Athenian king Aegeus, and the word clue, originally meaning a ball of thread, came to be synonymous with the word hint. The story was also used to explain natural phenomenon of the island of Crete. Particularly, the common occurrence of earthquakes was attributed to the Minotaur throwing tantrums in frustration from not being able to escape the labyrinth. The enduring myth of the Minotaur is what provoked Sir Arthur Evans to excavate on the island of Crete and uncover the lost city of Knossos, which is the oldest city in Europe. The Minoan civilization of Crete has been considered the first link of the European chain. But what I'm most interested in the myth of the Minotaur is its political implications. The myth is an Athenian legend, not a legend of Crete.
The Athenians told the Minotaur story as political propaganda. The Minotaur represented the tyranny of Crete. The labyrinth was Crete's nearly inescapable power, and the victims symbolized the suffering of Athens. The myth's purpose was to make the Cretans seem barbaric and evil, and it worked.
For the Greeks themselves, who embellished this story over the centuries, it was a very important proof that they and their gods and their rational thinking were superior to the Cretans and their bulls and their monsters.
Stories are important because they evoke emotions. And that's why people feel connected to the stories and their characters. Stories are worth more than their entertainment value. Also consider their education and artistic value. Stories invite people to think, to feel, and to experience vicariously. This appears to be objectively true, considering our ability to monitor the brain's reaction to words, sounds, and images. On Christmas Day in 2019, my family and I watched the dramatized documentary Togo on Disney+. It's a movie with William Dafoe as the protagonist, who, with untamable Togo at the lead, mushed 261 miles in a relay to deliver serum to cure a diphtheria outbreak in northern Alaska. In one scene, William Dafoe had to make a long jump to cross a lake. This ice that he was standing on was drifting away, and he had to give everything he had to make the jump. When he made the jump, my dad's legs jumped up in his recliner. He was jumping as William Dafoe's character. I've experienced similar reactions as I've watched series or even as I've played video games. At one point, while playing Minecraft with a friend, I nudged my character to see around a corner without falling off a ledge. I moved my body, my real body, as if that would make any difference in my virtual character's perspective. My friend was sitting beside me and my leaning began to get in his personal space. He asked what I was doing. I didn't realize until he asked. I was totally immersed in the experience. There is power in the experience through art. Art is a wellspring of meaning. Meaning is subjective and beauty is in the eye of the beholder. The objective ideological message is inherently at odds with the artistic drive for meaning, as propaganda is against art. Propaganda knows what the message is before the art is made. Art is made, and then meaning is then attached to it in a multitude of ways. The connections made between art and meaning become guiding stars which help us navigate the chaotic voyage of life. This ideology helps people have a sense of how things are. This understanding is intimately tied to emotions and subjectivity. What is your ideology? We all have one. The matter is drawing it out into the light. Once you do, your daily decisions may make a little more sense to you. So how does one go about drawing out their personal ideology? I suggest turning to art, and specifically stories. Like an ideological Rorschach test, interpreting their meaning can tell you more about yourself than what the story's author may have intended. That's the beauty of art. Its appreciation is in the hands of the interpreter. The meaning of art is open and limitless. It means whatever it needs to mean for the people who find value in it. Anything else is propaganda, and even most propaganda can be flipped any which way. The word for what I'm talking about is eisegesis, which means to put your ideas into the story. That term is only complete with the term exegesis, which means to pull meaning out of the story. The only way to know the difference, as far as I can tell, is to ask the creator of the art piece or story what they had in mind when they made it. Whatever they say is the meaning to pull out of it, but most artists worth their salt would usually tell. They would encourage you to see what you want to see, find beauty in it any which way, and their input keeps the art piece alive. Once meaning is set in stone, the discussion is over. I'm not saying to reject or pervert the original intention of the creator, but rather to add another perspective to it. It's always important to acknowledge the original and respect the creator's will regarding it, lest we turn art into something it was never meant to be. I want others to agree with me, but that's really not the point of this channel. Whether you agree with the ideas that I present in my subjective deconstructions of stories is irrelevant to my purposes. It is my hope that my interpretations of stories in movies and series can provoke thought and even reveal to the viewer their own ideology. To clarify, I want to raise awareness and help others develop conviction in their beliefs. For that, no agreement is needed.